The global supply chain is the backbone of modern life, delivering everything from food to technology across continents. But when war breaks out, this delicate system is disrupted in powerful ways. Conflict can shut down key trade routes, damage infrastructure, and create shortages of essential goods. As a result, prices rise, delays increase, and economies around the world feel the impact. The global supply chain crisis caused by war shows just how interconnected and vulnerable our world truly is. Today, we will talk about the global supply chain crisis caused by war. So before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. Introduction. The global supply chain is one of the most important systems supporting the modern world economy. It connects countries through the movement of raw materials, finished goods, energy resources, and food products. However, this system is extremely fragile when exposed to geopolitical instability, especially war. Armed conflicts disrupt production centers, transportation routes, and international trade agreements, creating widespread shortages and price instability. In recent years, global conflicts have shown that even a regional war can have worldwide economic consequences. From food insecurity to energy shortages and industrial slowdowns, war has become one of the most powerful disruptors of global supply chains. 2. How war disrupts global production systems. One of the first and most severe impacts of war is the disruption of production. Countries involved in conflict often experience damage to factories, farms, and infrastructure. Workers may be displaced, and transportation within the country becomes unsafe or impossible. Agricultural production in war zones often declines sharply due to land destruction, lack of labor, and fuel shortages. In industrial sectors, factories may shut down completely or operate at reduced capacity. When major exporting countries are affected, the global market feels the shock immediately. This is particularly significant for commodities like wheat, oil, gas, and metals, where a few countries dominate global supply. The reduction in output creates a chain reaction, leading to global scarcity and rising prices. 3. Disruption of transportation and trade routes. Global supply chains depend heavily on stable and efficient transportation systems, especially shipping routes, railways, and air corridors. War often disrupts these networks by making key regions unsafe or inaccessible. Maritime choke points such as the Strait of Hormuz, the Black Sea routes, or the Suez Canal region become high-risk zones during conflict. Shipping companies are forced to reroute vessels, which increases travel time and fuel consumption. These longer routes raise transportation costs and delay deliveries of essential goods. In some cases, insurance costs for shipping also increase due to heightened risks. As delays accumulate, businesses face uncertainty in inventory management, and consumers experience shortages of everyday products. 4. Energy crisis triggered by war. Energy is one of the most critical components of the global supply chain, and war has a direct impact on its stability. Many conflicts occur in or near major oil and gas-producing regions. When war disrupts these areas, global energy markets react quickly with price volatility. Reduced oil exports lead to increased fuel prices worldwide, which in turn raise transportation and manufacturing costs. Since nearly every product depends on energy at some stage of production or distribution, the impact spreads across all sectors. Rising energy prices also increase inflation, reducing consumer purchasing power. In severe cases, countries dependent on energy imports face economic slowdowns and rationing measures. 5. Shortages of raw materials and industrial inputs. Modern industries rely on complex global networks of raw materials and intermediate goods. War disrupts this flow by cutting off supply sources or damaging extraction and processing facilities. Essential materials such as steel, aluminum, fertilizers, and semiconductors may become scarce. The just-in-time production model used by many companies makes this problem worse, as businesses keep minimal inventory. When shipments are delayed or stopped, production lines can come to a halt almost immediately. Manufacturers are then forced to find alternative suppliers, often at higher costs and lower reliability. This leads to reduced industrial output, higher prices, and slower global economic growth. 6. Economic uncertainty and trade restrictions. War does not only cause physical disruptions, it also creates economic uncertainty that affects global trade behavior. Governments often respond to conflicts by imposing sanctions, export controls, and trade restrictions. These policies can block the movement of goods, technologies, and financial transactions between countries. Businesses operating in uncertain environments may delay investments or reduce production plans. International companies may also relocate supply chains to safer regions, which takes time and increases costs. Financial markets react to this uncertainty with volatility, making long-term planning difficult. As a result, global trade becomes less predictable and more fragmented. 7. Inflation and global cost of living pressures. One of the most visible effects of war-driven supply chain disruption is inflation. When supply decreases and costs increase, prices of goods and services rise globally. Food, fuel, transportation, and manufactured goods all become more expensive. This inflation reduces the purchasing power of consumers, especially in developing countries where income levels are lower. Families may struggle to afford basic necessities such as bread, cooking oil, and electricity. Businesses also face higher production costs, which they pass on to consumers. Over time, sustained inflation can slow economic growth and increase inequality between nations and social groups. 8. Global examples and ongoing impacts. Recent global conflicts demonstrate how deeply war affects supply chains. Disruptions in Eastern Europe have significantly impacted global grain and fertilizer markets, creating concerns about food security in many countries. Similarly, instability in the Middle East has affected oil transportation routes and increased global energy prices. Shipping delays in conflict-affected waters have also slowed international trade, affecting industries from automotive manufacturing to electronics. These ongoing crises show that supply chains are no longer regional systems but fully global networks, where disruption in one area quickly spreads worldwide. 9. Conclusion. The global supply chain crisis caused by war highlights the fragile nature of modern economic systems. War disrupts production, transportation, energy supplies, raw materials, and international trade policies, creating widespread global consequences. These disruptions lead to inflation, shortages, and economic instability that affect both developed and developing nations. As global conflicts continue to arise, it becomes increasingly important for countries and businesses to build more resilient supply chains. Diversifying suppliers, strengthening infrastructure, and reducing dependency on conflict-prone regions are essential steps toward stability. Ultimately, understanding and addressing these vulnerabilities is crucial for ensuring a more secure and sustainable global economy. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, and click the button to subscribe.